bunker! It's Metal Mischief!
And the Metal Forge.
And it's a very happy New Year!
On my as soon as possible.
Misfits and Miscreants, bangers and mashers, deviants and the deviated, the tormented and the fermented, ghouls and goblins, creatures of the night. Jack those headphones, crank your volume to max, spark it up, and just relax. It's time for your deadly dose. Welcome to the next installment of Metal Mischief, New Year's edition. That's right. It is metal in the year of the devil, 2022. On today's lineup, we have, of course, a countdown, like, not a countdown per se, but a review of, like, the metal over 2022, and then I'm gonna pick my top 5 albums. But in a way, as you will see, this is a bit of a countdown. But every day is a countdown until the day we fucking die, right? So let's just have fun while we are here and while we can, right? Right! Okay, so, holy fuck, it's already 2023. I mean, right now while I'm recording this, it's still 2022, but in about 2 days from now, it's gonna be 2023. And when you are watching this video, it's going to be 2023. So, anyway, it's another year of bangovers, another year of boozing, fart jokes, not sleeping enough, smoking an entire field of ganja, holding my tongue a lot, horns and high fives, cooking amazing foods, reading lots of comic books, staying up way past my bedtime because I'm fucking in my 40s and I fucking can. You know, breaking shit, tormenting my friends. I mean, there's a lot to life, but, you know, there's your friends and your music and petting your pussies. That's right. You know, little furry things that run around your house. Also, many, many hours of metal for my mental health. You know, they even made a metal song about that, called Mental Health. You guys know what I'm talking about. Anyway, it is metal therapy. And all year long, we have been getting small doses of metal therapy. I gotta say, it comes in all different forms, so, you know, it's whatever your mood might be and where it might take you. And that's going to explain later in this segment where you see why I made the choices I did. So, 2022 actually proved to be a golden year for new metal releases. New bands, old bands that resurfaced and put out new shit. Which, by the way, 2023 has a lineup of stuff coming out from some bands that we're all looking forward to, like Merciful Fate, just to name drop one. Anyway, I went back and I revisited some of the stuff that did not make my list. And I mean my top 5. But I also have a list that is going to be my honorable mentions, which we will get to in a minute. But there's a lot of bands I went back, listened to the albums over and over, gave them many chances, and they just didn't hit me right. That doesn't mean they're not going to hit you right. That doesn't mean that it's not something that's going to, like, appeal to you and that you're going to enjoy. So, by no means, like, you know, take what I say as, like, you know, it's just me bullshitting my way through things. So, anyway, After many tokes, many jokes, and many bottles of bourbon, I finally came up with my top 5 for 2022. But here's the thing, we're not gonna just jump right into that, because what fun is that? There's so much that happened in 2022. We can't just jump right into shit, right? So, I wanted to break down my top 5 into categories, you know, just so I could like spread some more love. So I'm gonna let you float on that for a minute, because we're gonna get to that. But before we get into the top 5, I would like to recap the bands that did make those honorable mentions I was just talking about. But before that, excuse me for one moment while I get a little parched talking to you guys. I don't know what it is. Like, I get really thirsty. Okay, so in no specific order and no specific categories for this, these are the bands that made my list, but not my top 5 for 2022. Are you ready? Are you guys ready? I've been ready all fucking day. Let's do this thing. All right, now I have to actually look at my list, so don't mind me, okay? In no specific order, Elder, Innate Passage, Voivod, Synchro Anarchy, which is probably one of my favorite titles for an album, actually. Immolations, Acts of God, Autopsy, because oh my god, Autopsy. Morbidity Triumphant. Morbidity Triumphant. Yeah, I had to say that a few times because it just didn't sound right at first. Misery Index. Man, it was nice to hear that they put out another album. You know, it's been a minute since we've really heard from them, so I'm pretty happy. The album Complete Control came out this year, and it was really good, and I actually really enjoyed it. Did not make my top 5, though. Municipal Waste. Electrified Brain. Because it does just that. It electrifies your brain. And it's a very good album. And it ranks way up there for me in the thrash categories for sure. But alas, it did not make my top 5. So, moving on. Escula Grind. Now, my buddy sent me this one, and I love my grind, and he knows I love my grind metal, so he finds like these really cool bands and sends them to me. Escula Grind is just technically a masterpiece when it comes to like a grind album. I absolutely loved it. The only reason it didn't make my top 5 was because one of my best buds of many years from Pittsburgh, one of his new projects that he's been working on for a couple years, had to go in my top 5 because it is literally one of the best grind albums I've heard in not just a year, but several years. Hands down, no shit, not just because he's my buddy, the shit is fucking killer. But we will get to that. So just hold your fucking horses. I know you guys are getting like all antsy, aren't you? Alright, Dark Funeral. We Are the Apocalypse. I did review this one earlier in the year, and it had to make my honorable mentions. Midnight, Let There Be Witchery. And I did get to see Midnight this year with Merciful Fate, and it was amazing. So if you missed that, I'm very sorry, but hopefully they came to a city near you. Bloodbath, which I also reviewed in this past year. Survival of the Sickest. That album is such a fucking killer album. One of my favorites actually for just like when I'm vacuuming and doing the dishes and shit like that, you know, it's like a really good like I'm gonna clean the house and listen to death metal mode. So that one's way up there for me, but alas, still didn't make my top 5. And here's a local boys actually made my list. Blind Scryer, which I also reviewed this year. I mean, I'm only going to review them if I really like them. I don't know if you guys have noticed that by watching the Metal Mischiefs, but I don't like to do bad reviews. If I'm not into the album and I'm not feeling the band, I'm just not going to review it because I don't want to be like an asshole about anything. Everybody's going to have their opinions about stuff, right? I mean, some of you probably think my show is a fucking piece of shit. I don't care. It's whatever. We listen to it if we want to. We watch it if we want to, right? Right. So, anyway, Blind Scryer. Local boys. Awesome, though. Oh my god. It's called Controlled Burn. And it's just one of those bands that, because they're not national, you're not going to really get to hear from them unless you go out and dig for it. So, look up Blind Scryer. Blind Scryer from Louisville, Kentucky. Just do it. Just do it. Alright, going on. Septic Flesh, Modern Primitive. Spectrum Mortis, which I also reviewed this year. Bit Misery, The Incantation. Corpsest, another one I reviewed this year. Succumb to Rot. Stormtoker, buddies from Lexington, but the Mother Tree. Holy fuck. The production on that album does not sound like, you know, it's just a small, like back of the burner, like, band, because it's not. It's absolutely not. Just go out and look for Stormtoker. If you're into stoner doom metal and you like, you know, to like get your head in a weird buzzed place, Stormtoker's where it's at. I'm not kidding. Just check it out. All right, Tamer Isley Projects, which I also reviewed. Tamer being one motherfucker who does everything. I mean, seriously, he's amazing. And yes, I reviewed him, and yes, you should go check him out. Witchfinder, Forgotten Mansion, Goat Whore. Oh, it's always awesome when Goat Whore drops something new for us, man. I always get excited when I hear Goat Whore's putting out a new album. So their new album, Angels Hung from the Archways of Heaven. The artwork on the front of the album is absolutely stunning too, so check that out. And then Decapitated, Cancer Culture, because, come on, let's get real. Cancer keeps killing all of our fucking loved ones, doesn't it? If it's not fucking heroin, it's fucking cancer. And then, last but not least on my honorable mentions, Exile, Rip and Tear, which was one of my first reviews at the beginning of 2022. And at the end of 2022, I still love the album. That's gotta tell you something, right? Alright, so, even though I don't consider split albums to be part of, like, you know, my choice at the end of the year, I always have to give them credit because, you know, split albums are a lot of fun. So, I'm going to mention the two that impressed me the most, actually. So, the first one being Spasticus and Boya. They are these Italian death metal motherfuckers, and I just have to tell you, like, if you haven't really dove into, like, Italian death metal, you should, because this shit is so good. And I would start with Spasticus and Boya. Now, the other one I want to talk about, I actually just did a review about not too long ago. If you guys were paying attention in class and you weren't sleeping through shit, then you would know that Black Knife, Wraith, Grave Ripper, and Unholy Night did a split. Now, the split is called Faster Than the Fucking Devil. And I'm not even going to talk anymore about it because you should just go back and, like, listen to the Metal Forge episode of Metal Mischief where I actually reviewed this fucking album. That's all you're going to get. That's all you're going to get. That's it. I'm just going to move on now. Alright, so I enjoy splits a lot though because you get like a blend of music from different bands and everything, and if they're actually produced well, then the bands all have a nice flow with each other and the production's really good. there's some of them I've listened to over this last year that, even though some of the bands I did like on there, the flow wasn't there. The album overall wasn't something that that kept me interested in it. So even though I did find some really awesome bands from some of these splits, I can't really give it a whole lot of mention because as a whole, the splits weren't something that I was into. But go digging, man. Go find shit. I mean, you know. Let's see. Where am I at? Okay. Okay. The next thing I want to talk about is this new Led Zeppelin pipe that was like a gift for Christmas. How fucking dope is that? No, that's not what I want to talk about. But I do want to talk about, you know, all the fun. Wait, did somebody say it's fun? It's fun. We've had tons of fun going to shows this year. Because after a fucking pandemic, oh my god, it was like running around without your clothes on. It was like, let's just go out and experience the world again. And it felt new and a little different, man. I mean, right? Am I fucking wrong here? But once we actually got to go back to shows and be around our friends, and it's the whole like, oh my god moments that you have, we finally like are full-fledged back into that in 2022. So, you know, I have to do a top 5 of my favorite shows from this year. Right? That only makes sense. So, besides the countless local metal shows, because oh my god, there's dozens upon dozens of those, including Metal Mondays, which happen almost every Monday, and it's free metal. And sometimes it's just local stuff, or like Lexington, Atlanta, Chicago. You know, we get a nice blend of stuff that comes through here for it. But sometimes we get like bigger bands. Like there was one band called something Teeth, Scratch Teeth Scratch. I don't know, but apparently it was dudes from Slipknot, and like nobody was supposed to know, but they were in our little tiny bar in our little tiny city, and that's what happens at Metal Mondays sometimes. So, besides Metal Mondays, here are my top 5 shows for 2022. First and foremost, Merciful Fate. Oh my god, just getting to see the King on stage in that capacity of Merciful Fate. And with my best friend, too. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. And they came with Midnight and Creator, too. Which Creator had a new album out, by the way. Sorry, didn't make my honorable mentions or anything because I'm just going to say this forthright. And if you saw the review I did about this show, you'll already know that Creator did not really impress me at that show, unfortunately. But Midnight and Merciful Fate sure did blow my fucking mind. So, fuck it, whatever. Try harder. Try again. Alright, number 2. Bay Area Strikes Back Tour. Now this one was fun because it was all thrash, all night. You had Testament, Death Angel, and Exodus. Let's just reiterate that. Testament, Death Angel, and Exodus. What a fucking night that was, let me tell you. It's one of those, you know, I hope when I get old and I don't like lose my mind and forget shows like that, you know? Anyway, moving on. Corrosion of Conformity. And you know why? Because Pepper Keenan, that's why! Fuck! Man! And then, Anvil! Anvil! Yes! The almighty Anvil was actually in Louisville. And Overload, Mark Jackson, Metal Forge, Overload got to open for the motherfuckers! Yes! Oh my god! How fucking cool is that, right? Yeah, that show was awesome. Such a good time. And then Last but not least, my number 5 was cattle decapitation and creeping death. Man, that's actually how my 2022 started. And, yeah, I mean, yeah, what a fucking way to, like, you know, start a year. That's my top 5 shows. All right, we're getting there. We're getting there, guys. I promise. All right. So, moving on to a little more somber notion of our year, though. I do want to take a few minutes to talk about, like, the musicians and all the influential people that, you know, made metal possible and just, like, permeable for us. Something we listen to and feel and touch on a daily basis that touches us, and something that makes us feel whole and complete. I mean, without these people, this would not be a thing for us. Metal would not be a thing for us. And every year we lose people that have influenced us and made such an impact in our metal community. And not just our metal community, but we're outstanding citizens and really damn good fucking people too. And treated other people with respect. And actually gave a shit about other people. And in that, they made art. And they made art passionately. So, here are the people that we lost this year. Dan McCafferty from Nazareth. Manny Charlton from Nazareth. Meatloaf. The Loaf. We lost the Loaf this year. We lost half of Nazareth and Meatloaf. D.H. Pellegro from Dead Kennedys. Nick Turner from Hawkwind. Mark Lanigan from the Screaming Trees. And I mean all his independent stuff. I'm actually a huge Mark Lanigan fan, and that one really hurt. That one really sucks. If you've never heard his indie stuff, you should dive into some of his independent stuff. It's really good, actually. And then, of course, Johnny Z, the founder of Megaforce Records, and the motherfucker who literally made Metallica and Anthrax possible. Think about that for a minute. We lost him this year. Burke Shelley from Budgie. Yeah, that's the thing about these awesome 70s like acid metal rock bands, is that now they're all getting to that point where we're gonna lose them. It's unfortunate, you know. Death is such a dick. Frederick Johansson from Dark Tranquillity. Trevor Stranad from Black Dahlia Murder. Bob Petticoat from Suicidal Tendencies. Stuart Ansis from Cradle of Filth. Ian McDonald from King Crimson and Foreigner. Taylor Hawkins from the Foo Fighters. Christine McVeigh, Fleetwood Mac. And then we go out with great balls of fire, Jerry Lee Lewis. I know there was more, but that's as much as my heart could take when I started making this list. So we're just gonna leave it there, okay? We're gonna take a moment though, and I want to just make a toast to those who have left us, and left us not just like of a spiritual world, but have left us with memorable music and, like, you know, a lifetime of their art and their passion. And that's something that can be invigorating and drive each and every one of us every fucking day. I mean, that's what metal really is anyway. It's this driving force. And that's why we feel it so fucking hard. And all these people felt it. Anyway, I'm not gonna get all mushy on you guys, but I'm a sentimental motherfucker sometimes, and, you know. So here's to all of our lost ones. Hopefully 2023 is a little kinder to us. We still have Ozzy. Okay. Now that we've had that moment, that was the nitty. Here is the gritty. What you have been waiting for this whole time. My 5-album review for 2022. And in no particular order, but within the parameters of each of them being chosen from a genre of metal and placed in one of 5 categories. That's convenient, right? Top 5 albums, 5 categories. Anyway, yeah. And now, the shitty drum roll, please. Number 1. Again, no particular order. Thrash. Destruction. Diabolical. Number 2. In the death category, Shed the Skin Thalmogenesis. The album is so fucking sick. I dare you to go listen to it. Number 3, in the grind category, my dear friends, Naraka from Pittsburgh with Nemesis Cloak. Oh. Ooh, excuse me. And in the 4th category for black metal, Depressive Witches. Now, I did review them on here not too long ago, but I did not review this album. I reviewed one of their other albums. And this album is just as good, better than the other album, actually. Yep, I'm gonna say that. And their album is called Distant Kingdoms. And number 5, and definitely last but not least, because this is what we've been listening to the entire time in the background. Probably my all-time favorite album of the entire year, Lunacy. From Space Coke. That's right, motherfuckers! So, what a fucking lineup! I wonder if any of you had the same on your list. Message me if you did, because we need to talk, alright? But for fucking real though, my anticipation for the albums that are coming out for 2023 is just like vibrating through my fucking skull, man. It's amazing! I'm so excited! Because this year was so good! Next year's gonna be like, you know, maybe twice as good. We'll see. And then I'm gonna rattle on and on. You'll have to listen to me for like an hour instead of like 30 minutes. Anyway, so, here we go. Dear Misfits, we have come to that part of our endeavor where we cross paths with Athena's 5-shot review. Now, you've already heard me review 2022 in the metal therein. But this review, this 5-shot review is special. It's special because I am reviewing the year that we had. Not just the music. Like I said, we already talked about that. No. I'm reviewing the year of 2022. So, before we get to that though, you know, I have to go over the rules because a lot of people they either sleep through my segments or they put me on mute and then go back to Mark when it's time for the Metal Forge. But I'm gonna have to give you the rules, alright? Alright, so 5 shots. I need 5 shots to get through the motherfucker. 4 shots. Meh. Could use some 3 shots. Good. Made me bang my head, air drum a little bit. 2 shots. Really good. put that shit in the glove box for traveling. And 1 shot. Excellent. I'm probably gonna have a hangover in the morning. And although I had plenty of hangovers this year, the verdict is 5 shots! Oh! To get through the motherfucker! Wait. No. Make that 666 shots to get through 2022. So, until we meet again, have a most excellent time. And don't forget, keep it heavy.